Episode 220. In the arena, to Ye Xiu, the 4 afterimages might as well have not existed. He had instantly identified which one was the real body.
With a flick of his mouse, he fired a quantum cannon. At the same time, his left hand tapped the backspace key, and dancing smoke retreated a step.
Just like a charged-up laser cannon, the quantum cannon had a powerful recoil. You had to take a perfectly timed step back to dissipate the force, or your character would be knocked flat on their back. Rao and Chui Yang didn't seem too surprised by this quantum cannon blast. His shadow steps slid to the side. The distance his main body put between them was perfectly measured. Just enough. He was right outside the quantum cannon's area of effect. Such precise control genuinely made Ye Xiu want to praise him again. But what happened next left him utterly dumbfounded. After sidestepping, Ardodan Chuyi Ingi immediately followed up with a draw sword slash, aiming to cleave the quantum cannon blast in two. The system allows for this kind of attack. If you're quick-eyed and fast-handed, with high enough attack speed, it's theoretically possible to even slash a sharpshooter's bullet. Anyone who can pull that off is undoubtedly a master whose skill has reached the pinnacle. And it's not like you could pull it off every single time. As for slicing a quantum cannon shot, that's something a few more players could manage. But it still demands sharp eyes and precise technique. But for Riverbank Willow, who had already dodged the quantum cannon, pulling off this high difficulty move now was completely unnecessary. It served no purpose other than looking cool. Ye Xiu shook his head in exasperation. Did this guy even realize the situation he was in? With such a glaring opening, how could Ye Xiu possibly miss it? Without a word, he swapped his cannon for a handgun and fired a floating bullet. Gunners weren't limited to heavy cannons, but many of their high-damage ultimate skills required one to execute. The aerial bomb skill isn't part of the launcher's kit. It's a Spitfire skill available before level 20. As the name suggests, it's a skill that forces a hit opponent into a mandatory float state. Compared to that, this skill is faster, more accurate, and more effective when used with a handgun. It's part of the gun switching or dual gun style. This was a fairly common technique among gunners. Ye Xiu had already spotted the spare pistol in Dancing Rain's inventory. In a flash, he drew the small gun and fired a floating bullet. What happened next, however, took Ye Xiu somewhat by surprise. He fired the aerial shot, immediately holstered the handgun, and prepared to switch back to the heavy cannon for a big move to blast Rao and Chui Yang, who was about to be forcibly launched by the aerial shot into the air. But he saw Rao and Chui Yang cancel his draw sword slash mid animation. With a light diagonal hop forward, the character just cleared the arc of the anti-tank missile. The moment he landed, he unleashed a triple slash. As the blade light arced, his character had already slid right in front of chasing haze. Triple slash was a skill swordsmen often used for rapid repositioning.
So it's a trap. Clever boy.
Ye Xiu instantly understood. This guy used some tricks after all. That flashy, in-character show-off move was just bait. He'd anticipated that a top player would switch to a gun for a launch, then swap to a heavy cannon for a big move. Seizing the exact moment of the weapon switch, he closed the gap. Switching weapons wasn't instantaneous. There was a cooldown between swaps. This cooldown was one of the major limitations that held back the unspecialized class. Rao and Chu Yang was inwardly smug at the success of his scheme. At this moment, Zhu Yangxia had no time to raise her heavy cannon. Even attempting a flying cannon maneuver to escape was impossible. Rao and Chu Yang's timing was impeccable, leaving his opponent no room to counter. Now his close quarters assault was already underway. But Ye Xiu turned the tables, giving him a surprise of his own. He watched helplessly as his opponent threw the heavy cannon, which was now too late to equip, to the ground.
Was that a frantic misclick?
Rao and Chu Yang never expected this. Equipment can't drop in the arena, yet someone had actually fumbled and thrown their gear down. Rao and Chuyang knew the exact range of Chasing Smoke Glow's attacks. He'd already identified her weapon, the Rose Heavy Cannon, a level 70 purple weapon, equipment of that caliber, just lying there on the ground. Who wouldn't want to pick it up? Even if you can't use it yourself, it's still a fat wallet. Shit. Watching Ye Xiu do this, Chen Gu was practically ready to flip the table and jump up. That Rose Heavy Cannon was hers! And he just tossed it away like that. What if the enemy picked it up? A max level 70 grade purple weapon isn't something you just stumble upon. Sure, money can buy anything, and Chen Guo certainly had the means, but she wasn't the type to use real, world money to buy in-game gear or items. This Rose Heavy Cannon was earned purely through in-game effort and sheer luck. However, Shorebound Willow did not immediately scramble for the dropped gear. Surprised, he nonetheless pressed on with his attack, but then he saw Su Mucheng's character, Chasing Mist, already launching a knee strike at him. A knee strike, what good would that do? Shemph? Rao and Chuyang sneered. A knee strike was indeed an unstoppable skill that couldn't be interrupted. But unfortunately, Rao and Chuyang had already anticipated his opponent would use this kind of unstoppable skill to forcibly push him back. That's why his first move up close was Wave Wheel Slasher. The Spellblade's Wave Wheel Slasher, a skill that can break through super armor. The skill's startup wasn't lightning fast, but against the slowest, most cumbersome gunner subclass, the launcher, it was more than quick enough to beat out that knee strike. Knee strike is a melee skill for gunners. While it's not tied to a gun's rate of fire, its speed is affected by encumbrance. For a launcher, clad in heavy armor and wielding a heavy cannon, this skill is undoubtedly the slowest of all. Rao and Chuyang was certain his judgment was flawless, yet the outcome was nothing like he'd anticipated. Smoke Blossom's knee strike had somehow landed a split second faster than his Wave Wheel Slasher, sending him soaring skyward in a spectacular arc. Impossible. Hanging Willow adjusted his view mid-air, looking down. Suddenly, he realized a weapon's weight could drastically affect the speed of many actions. But now the gunner, normally the slowest of the shooters, had no heavy cannon in hand. His hands were empty. How fast can a gunner move when he's got nothing in his hands? Rao and Chuyang suddenly realized he had never once considered this question. Now, Riverside Willow noticed, but it was already too late. His opponent, Ye Xiu, had already flicked his wrist, and the Chasing Mist Shisha had hurled a grenade. The timing was perfect. The blast wave from the explosion sent the swordsman hurtling skyward once more. Only then did Misty Miasma go to retrieve the Rose Heavy Cannon from the ground. Watching his opponent's deliberate, unhurried movements, Shorebound Willow finally realized discarding the Rose Heavy Cannon had been a ruthless gambit. Zhou Yanxie crouched, then swung the Rose Heavy Cannon back onto her shoulder from a much closer range. Then, with a flash of blue light from the cannon's muzzle, Rao and Chuyang lowered his view to see his character about to hit the ground. Just as that blue light spat out a shell shimmering with magnetic blue energy, flew straight toward him. Rao and Chouyang recognized the skill, of course, but now he saw the opponent squat and swing the cannon. This move wasn't meaningless after all. This crouch saved a fraction of a second when shouldering the cannon. Moreover, the lower firing point gave the shell a tiny bit more flight time. Those two minuscule moments. The swordsman, who was almost on the ground, was blasted squarely by the magnetic cannon.